Men, the most confusing part of relationships isn't when women are upset with you. It's when they suddenly start flirting with other men right in front of you and then watch your reaction like a scientist observing an experiment. Today, we're breaking down 6 specific times women flirt with other men just to see if you'll react. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and drop a comment if you've ever caught a woman testing you this way, and later realized she was deliberately pushing boundaries to see what you'd tolerate. Your awareness might help another. Man recognize the test before he either fails by looking insecure or fails by accepting disrespect. Test 1. The social media attention spike. Suddenly, very active with male followers. When her social media behavior suddenly changes and she's posting more revealing photos, responding enthusiastically to male comments, and creating content that seems designed to attract male attention, she's not just enjoying social media or expressing herself creatively. She's conducting a deliberate test to see whether you notice, whether you care, and how you'll respond to her actively soliciting attention from other men. What she's actually testing. She's evaluating whether you're paying attention to her behavior and whether you have standards for what's acceptable in your relationship. Women want men who notice when something changes, especially when that change involves her making herself available to other men's attention. If you don't notice or don't care that she's suddenly fielding flirtatious comments from dozens of men, she interprets this as either you not caring about her or you being too weak to have boundaries about appropriate behavior. Notice the timing of these attention spikes. They often follow arguments, periods where you've been busy with work or other priorities, or moments when she feels you're not giving her enough attention. The social media flirting is designed to create jealousy that reminds you to prioritize her, or to punish you for perceived neglect by showing you that other men want her, even if you're taking her for granted. Pay attention to how she responds when other men comment flirtatiously on her posts. Does she shut it down or redirect the conversation to respectful territory? Or does she encourage it with responses that keep the flirtation going? Her engagement level with male attention reveals whether this is unwanted attention she's trying to manage politely or deliberately cultivated attention she's encouraging to make you react. Watch whether she makes sure you see this behavior. Does she show you comments from other men, mention how many likes she got, or make sure her posts show up where you'll notice them? If she's ensuring you're aware of the male attention she's receiving, that's not accidental. She wants you to see it and respond. She's testing whether you'll set boundaries about what's appropriate or whether you'll passively accept her actively soliciting attention from other men. Many men are paralyzed between not wanting to seem controlling and not wanting to accept disrespectful behavior. She's looking for the response that shows you have standards without being insecure. Acknowledging you noticed, expressing that it bothers you, and establishing clear boundaries about what's acceptable in your relationship. The psychological mechanism. This test works by creating visible evidence of other men's interest that you're forced to either notice and respond to or ignore and accept. She's manufacturing a situation where your response reveals your confidence level, your standards, and your willingness to enforce boundaries. The male attention itself isn't usually the goal. Your reaction to it is what she's actually interested in. How to handle this test. Acknowledge you noticed without appearing jealous or controlling. Say something like, "I've noticed your social media activity has changed and you're engaging more with male attention. That's not the kind of behavior I'm comfortable with in a relationship. I'm not going to police your social media, but I also won't stay in a relationship where my partner is actively seeking attention from other men." This response shows you noticed, have standards, and won't accept disrespect, but you're also not trying to control her. You're simply stating your boundaries and what you'll accept in relationships. Test 2. The mention of male friends. With suspicious timing. When she suddenly starts mentioning a new male friend repeatedly, tells stories that highlight his positive qualities, or brings him up during moments when you've disappointed her, she's not innocently updating you about her expanding social circle. She's introducing competition anxiety by making you aware that another man is occupying mental and emotional space in her life, then watching how you respond to this perceived threat. What she's actually testing. She's evaluating whether you'll feel threatened by other men in her life and how you'll express that concern. Women want to know that you value them enough to care if another man is getting close, but they also want to see that you're secure enough not to become irrationally jealous. This test walks the line between these two responses. She wants you to notice and care, but not to overreact with accusations or controlling behavior. Notice what information she emphasizes about this male friend. Does she mention he's successful, funny, attentive to her, or has qualities she wishes you had more of? These comparisons aren't accidental. She's deliberately highlighting areas where this other man supposedly exceeds you to create insecurity and make you work harder to prove you're the better option. Pay attention to when she brings up this male friend. Is it after you've been busy with work and less attentive to her? After an argument where you disappointed her? The timing reveals that this isn't random friendship updates. She's strategically reminding you that other men are interested and available when you fail to meet her standards. Watch whether she creates opportunities for you to meet this male friend, or whether she keeps that relationship separate from you. If she's deliberately keeping you separate, that's a red flag that suggests the relationship has inappropriate elements she doesn't want you to observe. If she's pushing you to meet him, she might be trying to make you uncomfortable or demonstrate that she has male orbiters who are waiting for their chance. She's testing whether you'll assert yourself by expressing discomfort with how close she's getting to another man, or whether you'll passively accept her, developing an emotional connection with someone who could potentially replace you. The healthy response is acknowledging your discomfort while trusting her to maintain appropriate boundaries until she gives you concrete reason not to. The psychological mechanism. This test works by introducing a named, specific potential competitor rather than abstract male attention. By personalizing the threat, she makes it more real and more anxiety-inducing. Your response reveals whether you're confident enough to trust her, while also having standards about appropriate opposite-sex friendships, or whether you're either too jealous to handle her having male friends or too passive to care when those friendships cross boundaries. How to handle this test. Address your concern directly without accusations. Say, "I've noticed you mention name quite a bit, and some of what you're describing sounds like it goes beyond normal friendship. I trust you to maintain appropriate boundaries, but I'm also not comfortable with the level of emotional intimacy or time you seem to be developing with another man. If this friendship is becoming something that competes with our relationship, that's a problem we need to address. This shows you noticed, you care, and you have boundaries, while also demonstrating you trust her unless given reason not to." Test 3. The flirtatious behavior at social events, testing you in public. When you're at parties, bars, or social gatherings, and she engages with other men in ways that seem overly friendly, laughs too hard at their jokes, touches their arms, or positions herself to receive their attention while you're watching, she's not just being social or accidentally crossing boundaries. She's deliberately flirting in front of you to test whether you'll intervene, how you'll handle public disrespect, and whether you value yourself enough to address inappropriate behavior even when there's an audience. What she's actually testing. She's evaluating your confidence and how you handled challenges to your status in social contexts. It's one thing to set boundaries in private. It's another to maintain your standards when there are witnesses who will judge how you handle the situation. She wants to know if you're confident enough to address disrespectful behavior publicly, or if you'll accept it to avoid making a scene. Notice whether she checks to see if you're watching when she's engaging with other men. If she's making eye contact with you while laughing at another man's jokes or touching him, that's deliberate. She's ensuring you see the behavior so she can gauge your reaction. This isn't accidental flirtation. It's performed flirtation designed to provoke response. Pay attention to how far she escalates if you don't respond. Does she increase the flirtation level, get more physical, or become more obvious about enjoying another man's attention? The escalation reveals she's testing to find where your boundary is. If you don't react to mild flirtation, she'll increase intensity until you either react or she confirms you'll accept any level of disrespect. Watch how she responds if you do address it. Does she get defensive and accuse you of being jealous or controlling? Does she minimize her behavior and claim you're overreacting? Or does she acknowledge she crossed a line and apologize? Her response to your boundary setting reveals whether this was a test she wanted you to pass by setting limits, or whether she's genuinely not respecting the relationship. She's testing whether you'll prioritize avoiding social awkwardness over maintaining your self-respect. Many men would rather tolerate disrespect than risk looking jealous or controlling in front of friends. She wants to see if you're one of those men who values others' opinions more than your own standards. The psychological mechanism. This test works by adding social pressure to boundary violations. It's psychologically harder to address disrespect when there's an audience that might judge you as insecure or controlling. By flirting publicly, she's testing whether your boundaries are genuine or whether they only exist in private, where there's no social cost to enforcing them. How to handle this test? Address it calmly in the moment without making a scene. Pull her aside and say, "I've noticed you're being very flirtatious with other men tonight. That's disrespectful to me and our relationship. I need you to dial it back, or I'm going to leave. I won't stand here and watch my partner act single." This response sets clear boundaries, shows you won't accept public disrespect, but doesn't create unnecessary drama. If she continues, follow through by leaving, showing her that your standards aren't negotiable. Test 4, telling you about other men's advances. Gauging your reaction. When she tells you about other men hitting on her, asking for her number, or expressing interest, she's not just keeping you informed about unwanted attention or being transparent about her social interactions. She's deliberately making you aware that other men want her, then closely observing how you respond to the information that you have competition. What she's actually testing. She's evaluating your confidence level and whether you view the relationship as secure or precarious. Secure men respond to news of other men's interest with confidence that she chose them and trust that she'll handle it appropriately. Insecure men respond with jealousy, interrogation, or attempts to control her behavior to prevent other men's access. Notice how she frames these stories. Does she describe shutting down the advances firmly? Or does she tell the story in ways that highlight how attractive or persistent these other men were? If she's emphasizing the quality or determination of men pursuing her rather than emphasizing her rejection of them, she's trying to create jealousy and make you worry about losing her. Pay attention to how often she brings up other men's interest. Once in a while might be genuine transparency. Constantly telling you about every man who looks at her is deliberate cultivation of jealousy designed to keep you insecure and working to keep her. The frequency reveals whether she's reporting genuine boundary violations or manufacturing competition anxiety. Watch whether she asks for your opinion on how she should handle these situations. "A guy at work keeps asking me out. What should I do?" If she's asking you how to handle other men's advances, she either lacks basic boundaries, red flag, or she's testing whether you'll tell her what to do, so she can accuse you of being controlling, or whether you'll be passive, so she can interpret that as not caring. She's testing whether you'll take the bait and become jealous, possessive, or controlling, which gives her ammunition to call you insecure, or whether you'll be so unaffected that she interprets it as you not caring about her or the relationship. She wants the middle response, acknowledgement that it bothers you slightly, but confidence that she'll handle it because she's chosen you. The psychological mechanism. This test works by forcing you to respond to evidence of your replaceability. Other men want her, which means you could lose her, which should make you more invested in keeping her. She's manufacturing scarcity and competition to increase your perceived value of the relationship and your effort level. How to handle this test. Respond with confident trust. Say, "I trust you to handle other men's interest appropriately. If someone's not respecting your boundaries, you know how to shut that down. I'm secure in our relationship and I'm not worried about random guys hitting on you." This shows confidence without apathy. You trust her and you're secure, but you also have clear expectations that she handles other men's advances appropriately. Test 5. The ex-boyfriend reconnection, bringing up past relationships. When she mentions reconnecting with an ex-boyfriend, tells you they're texting again, or suggests meeting up with him to catch up, she's not innocently maintaining friendships with people from her past. She's introducing the ultimate competition anxiety by bringing up someone she was once intimate with, then watching whether you'll forbid it, controlling, accept it, weak, or handle it with confident boundaries. What she's actually testing. She's evaluating how you handle the most threatening form of male competition, men who've already had her. Ex-boyfriends represent proven threats because they've already successfully attracted her once. They have history and intimate knowledge of her, and they often maintain hope of reconciliation. Your response to ex-boyfriend contact reveals your deepest securities and insecurities. Notice how she introduces this information. Does she mention it casually, like it's no big deal? Or does she seem to be studying your reaction as she tells you? If she's watching you carefully as she drops this information, she's more interested in your response than in actually reconnecting with her ex. Pay attention to what she emphasizes about the ex. Does she mention he's doing well, has improved since they dated, or brings up positive qualities he had? These comparisons to you are deliberate attempts to create insecurity. She wants you wondering if she's comparing you unfavorably to him, and if she's considering going back. Watch whether she actually follows through with meeting the ex, or whether the test ends once she's observed your reaction. Often, the threat itself is the test. She mentions reconnecting to see how you'll respond, and once she's gathered that data, the ex-boyfriend suddenly becomes less important. She's testing whether you have boundaries about past relationships remaining in the past. Some men are too controlling and forbid any contact with exes. Other men are too passive and accept their partner maintaining intimate friendships with past lovers. She wants to see if you can articulate reasonable boundaries about exes without being unreasonable. The psychological mechanism. This test works by activating primal competition anxiety with someone who's already proven they can attract her. Ex-boyfriends aren't theoretical threats. They're proven threats, which makes them psychologically more potent. Your response reveals whether you're secure enough to handle her having a past, while also having standards about keeping the past in the past. How to handle this test. Set clear boundaries about exes. Say, I'm not comfortable with you reconnecting with ex-boyfriends. Past romantic relationships should stay in the past when you're building a future with someone new. I'm not going to forbid you from doing anything, but maintaining contact with exes isn't something I accept in relationships. If that's something you need, we're not compatible. This establishes clear standards without trying to control her. You're stating your boundaries and what you'll accept, then letting her choose whether to respect those boundaries. Test 6. Creating jealousy scenarios. Then accusing you of being jealous. When she deliberately creates situations designed to make you jealous, flirting with other men, mentioning male attention, staying in contact with exes, and then accuses you of being jealous or controlling when you respond, she's running a sophisticated manipulation where she violates boundaries, then frames your reasonable response as unreasonable. This is the meta-test that encompasses all the others. What she's actually testing. She's testing whether you'll accept gaslighting about your legitimate concerns. By creating jealousy-inducing situations, then attacking you for feeling jealous, she's trying to train you to ignore your instincts and accept boundary violations without complaint. This is how some women establish relationships where they can do whatever they want, while you question whether you even have the right to be concerned. Notice the pattern. She does something that would make any reasonable person uncomfortable. You express that discomfort, and suddenly you're the problem for being too jealous or too controlling. This reversal makes her behavior invisible and your response to it the only issue being discussed. Pay attention to whether she acknowledges her role in creating the jealousy, or whether she frames your feelings as spontaneously emerging from your insecurity. If she can't acknowledge that her behavior provoked your response, she's gaslighting you about cause and effect. Watch whether this pattern repeats. Once might be genuine misunderstanding. Repeated cycles of boundary pushing, followed by accusations of jealousy when you respond, reveal deliberate manipulation. She's establishing that she can do whatever she wants, and you're not allowed to have feelings about it. She's testing whether you'll accept blame for feeling normal human emotions in response to disrespectful behavior. If she can make you believe your jealousy is the problem, rather than her boundary violations being the cause, she's successfully inverted responsibility and can continue behaving however she wants. The psychological mechanism. This test works through sophisticated gaslighting, where she makes you question whether your perceptions and feelings are legitimate. By framing normal responses to disrespect as character flaws in you, she avoids accountability for her behavior while making you constantly question whether you're being reasonable. This creates relationships where you're always apologizing for having standards. How to handle this test? Name the pattern explicitly. Say, I notice a pattern where you do things that would make anyone uncomfortable. Flirting with other men, maintaining contact with exes, cultivating male attention. And when I express normal concern about that behavior, you accuse me of being jealous or controlling instead of addressing what you did. I'm not going to accept being gaslit about legitimate boundaries. Either you respect the relationship or you don't, but you don't get to disrespect it, then attack me for noticing. This response identifies the manipulation, refuses to accept blame for normal reactions to disrespect, and puts focus back on her, behavior where it belongs. These 6 situations aren't accidental moments where women forget they're in relationships. They're deliberate tests designed to evaluate your confidence, boundaries, and self-respect. Understanding these tests allows you to recognize when you're being evaluated rather than disrespected randomly, and to respond in ways that demonstrate you have standards without appearing insecure. The key is finding the balance between confidence and boundaries. Women lose respect for men who are so jealous they try to control their partner's every interaction with other men. But they also lose respect for men who are so passive they accept obvious disrespect without any response. The successful response to these tests shows you notice inappropriate behavior, you care enough to address it, you have clear boundaries about what's acceptable, but you're also confident enough not to become controlling or paranoid. Remember, if a woman is constantly testing you through flirtation with other men, that reveals something about her character and her respect for the relationship. Occasional tests are normal in early relationship stages. Constant testing suggests she either doesn't respect you or is fundamentally insecure herself. Men with strong self-respect recognize when testing crosses into disrespect and choose partners who don't need to manufacture jealousy to feel valued.